By now, most cricket fans would have been aware that with clinical precision and effectiveness, Australia disposed of India in the World Test Championships final. It led me to immediately start thinking how many of these Australians would be in the greatest playing 11 of all time. That would be a virtually impossible task to accomplish. So I decided to pick the greatest test playing 11 since 1990 when I started watching cricket. Hello everyone and welcome to the show. Please slash a like on the video and click on that subscribe button. Before I could pick the best playing 11 for the last 30 years, I need to come up with some criteria. And that is for the batsmen, 100 matches minimum, 300 highest score, average of 50, and a strike rate of 50. These are minimum criteria. For the bowlers, I would go with 90 matches because, as you know, pace bowlers don't generally last long as the batsmen. However, their average plus their economy and their strike rate should come out less than 80 when you add all three. In setting these criteria before I pick the team, I realized while picking the team, I have to compromise. But for the batsmen, all of them, their score adds up to more than 500. So let's go. The opener, I'm going to go with a left-handed, right-handed combination to open the innings. And I will go with undoubtedly the best opener over the last 30 years, the Australian Matthew Hayden. Not many persons will complain that Matthew Hayden is the greatest test opener over the last 30 years. Once the record holder, he has a highest score of 380 with an average of 50.73 and a strike rate of 60 and over 60 tests and over 100 test matches. Matthew Hayden fits all the criteria for being in the greatest test 11 for the past 30 years. So my number one opener will be Matthew Hayden. Accompanying Matthew Hayden is the Indian opener, Virender Sehwag. Virender Sehwag, who also was a triple century, has an average of 49.34, 82.23. He also has over 100 test matches. And as you see there, I compromised with the average as it did not reach 50, but 49.34 and his total score of over 500 still make him fit for this team. Now, there will be no Chris Gayle or Alistair Cook in this team because both left-handers are not as good as Matthew Hayden. And furthermore, if the opposition have decided that they are going to start their innings with Chaminda Vaals, Chris Gayle would be in great trouble. Now, the batsman coming in at number 3 in my greatest test 11 of all time is the man who I think is the greatest test batsman of all time, and that is Brian Charles Lara of the West Indies, having a highest score of over 400 and the only of 400 not out, and the only man to break the test batting record twice. He is my pick for the greatest batsman of all time. His average of 52.88 and a strike rate of 60.51. He would bat at number 3 in my all-time test 11 since 1990. Now, the batsman who is coming in at 4 is the Indian prodigy Sachin Tendulkar. And Sachin Tendulkar just came in ahead of Ricky Ponting. Sachin Tendulkar and Ricky Ponting figures are almost similarly, except for the fact that Tendulkar played 200 matches and Tendulkar played 200 matches and Ricky Ponting played 168. But Tendulkar highest score of 248 not out. Ricky Ponting highest score is 257, although he was out. Tendulkar average of 53.78 is just above that of Ricky Ponting of 51.85, and Tendulkar's strike rate of 54.04 is just below that of Ricky Ponting of 57. So both batsmen have similar figures, but the fact that Tendulkar was able to maintain it over a longer period of time of 32 matches more than Ricky Ponting, he got the edge at number 4. At number 5, can you imagine? Can you imagine after get rid of Hayden, Sehwag, Lara, and Tendulkar? And just for this walk alone, it will send trepidation to opposing batsmen. While we do not have an official strike rate for Viv Richards, Experts believe that Viv Richards' strike rate was anywhere between 65 and 71 in Test cricket. That's when the expert use their computer and put in their numbers. They comes out with a strike rate for Viv Richards of anywhere between 65 and 71. But his highest score of 291 is strike rate of say 65 going with the lower number with an average of 50 and over 100 test matches. He again scored 500 runs. His total score again is 500. So Viv Richards would be not my number 5. Coming in at number 6 is who many persons think is the greatest all-rounder of all time. To me, he's the greatest all-rounder I've ever seen. West Indian supporters who have seen Sir Garfield Sobers would dispute that and would argue that. But in my opinion, and of all the all-rounders as I've seen, Jacques Kallis, the South African, with over 292 test wicket and averaging 55 in test cricket, he will bat at number 6 as the all-rounder in my team. I don't think there are any greater all-rounder since the last 30 years than Jacques Kallis. At number 7, and doing the wicket-keeping role is very easy. This must be the easiest pick. Although the Australian might tell you that Adam Gilchrist fit this role, there's no way Gilchrist figures can match up to Kumar Sangakkara. Having an highest score of 319, an average of 57, and a strike rate of 50, with over 202 dismissals, which is down on Gilchrist, Sangakkara, playing in a very weak Sri Lankan team, were able to achieve these figures, and he would have been undoubtedly my wicket keeper. At number 8 is probably the greatest left-arm pace bowler at all time. Yes, at number 8, Wasim Akram is probably the greatest left-arm pace bowler at all time. And why am I going with Wasim Akram at number 8? Is that Wasim Akram, because he's a left-arm pacer, and I want a left-arm pacer. I already have Jacques Kallis, and I will have one more pacer who's a right-arm pacer. I am going with, sorry about having Kumar Sangakkara there. Sorry, it should be Wasim Akram. I'm going with Wasim Akram, a man who have gone over 414 wickets with a best bowling of 7 for 19, his average of 23, economy of 2.59, and his strike rate of 54. All of those, when you add them up, are below 80, the magical figure. Now, batting at number 9 in this team is the person, no doubt about it, the greatest leg spinner I've ever seen, Shane Warne. So Shane Warne would bat at number 9 in this team, having over 708 test wicket, an average of 24, an economy of 2.66, and a strike rate of 5.74, just above 80 when you add it up. But there's no doubt no one will pick an all-time team for the past 30 years and do not put Shane Warne in that team. At number 10 is our own Curtly Ambrose. Now, Curtly Ambrose deserves to be in this team. Persons will consider about Marshall. I never saw Marshall. Glenn McGrath, Curtly Ambrose record is greater than Glenn McGrath. And again, his total score comes out below 80. His best bowling of 8 for 45. And wouldn't you want Curtly Ambrose to be bowling your attack and somebody asks him to take those wristbands off? Oh, how would you want that? So Curtly Ambrose is my man at number 10. Now, the final person in this team at number 11 is the Australian off-spinner. And the Indians may say, what about Ashwin? Now, Lyons is in this team, and as you see, Lyons' figures are above 80. But again, I compromise and put Lyons in the team because I need an off-spinner, and I think for the past 30 years, Lyons is the greatest off-spinner I have seen. What about Ashwin? India do not always play Ashwin. And if India do not always play Ashwin, how am I going to pick Ashwin in my greatest team of all time? So that there, my friends, that there, my community members, is my greatest 11 of all time. So let's look at the team. So the team is Aiden, Sehwag, Lara, Tendulkar, Richards, Kallis, Sangakkara, Akram, Warne, Ambrose, and Lyons. Now, there are some bowlers who have been missing from this team, and persons will call their name. But one of the criteria that I set, which I never listed, is that I was not going to pick any bowler where their bowling action was suspect. I am picking bowlers who I'm not going to run the chance of them being called for no ball or being reported to the ICC. So this is the greatest played 11 for the past 30 years. Undoubtedly, there can be no argument about it. There can be no disagreement about it. Thank you all for tuning in. Please slash a like on the video and click on that subscribe button. This recording was brought to you by Mojo Boutique. Thank you all for tuning in. Have a great day. Talking about picking 11. Come this afternoon, just about 5:30, I'll be picking my 11 for the first ODI qualifiers in Zimbabwe. Join me then, 5:35 Jamaica time this evening. God bless. Have a great day.